Good day, everyone. Welcome in this subject, Education 703, Qualitative Research Methods. I am Cristina B. Calva, your reporter for today. This time, we will tackle the use of theory in qualitative research methods. So, watch, listen, and learn. To begin with, let us answer this question. What is theory? Basically, theory is a story of what is happening and why. It consists of two things, concepts and relationships. Griswold defined theory as an interrelated set of constructs or variables formed into propositions or hypotheses that specify the relationship among variables. For Stewart in 2015, he defined theory as an explanation of a phenomenon arrived at through examination and contemplation of relevant facts. Theory is regarded as a set of interrelated concepts or ideas that explain some aspects of the real world. In other words, it is an idea that explains a situation or justifies a course of action. It is also defined as an organized, coherent, and systematic articulation of a set of issues that are communicated as a meaningful whole. In a research, one component of reviewing the literature is to determine what theory might be used to explore the questions in a scholarly study. Generally, theories are formulated to explain, predict, and understand phenomena. Without theory, a researcher is misguided. How theory is used in qualitative research. Qualitative inquirers used theory in their studies in several ways. First, it is used as a broad explanation for behavior and attitudes, and it may be complete with variables, constructs, and hypotheses. It is much like a quantitative research which provides explanation to answer to their question. The theory is placed toward the beginning of the proposal for study. Example, ethnographers employ cultural themes or aspects of cultures in their research. Themes in this context provide a ready-made series of hypotheses to be tested from the literature, which provide broad explanation that anthropologists use to study the culture, sharing behavior, and attitudes of people. This approach is popular in qualitative health science research, in which investigators begin with a theoretical model. Here is an example. In a small pilot study of patient experiences of pain and pain management at the end of life, Larson and Witz in 2007 used Parr's theory of human becoming as a theoretical framework for analyzing interview data from patients with cancer. After using content analysis to develop themes, the investigator compared these themes with Parr's course concepts. This comparison yielded a theoretical interpretation of the data that suggested structured nursing interventions could improve patients' quality of life. It is clear that theory in this manner is used as a guide and a framework to conduct a study, indicating what kind of data and concepts must be useful. Second reason why theory is used in qualitative research is that researchers increasingly use a theoretical lens or perspective in qualitative research, and which provides an overall orienting lens for the study of questions of gender, class, and race or other issues of marginalized groups. Theoretical lens guides the researcher in choice of topic and issues. Specifically, theoretical lens become an advocacy perspective that shapes the types of questions asked, informs how data are collected and analyzed, and provides a call for action or change. It also guides the researchers as to what issues are important to examine, example, women, homeless, minority groups, and others. Theoretical lens also indicate how researcher positions himself or herself in the qualitative study and how the final written account need to be written. According to Criswell in 2007, some of the qualitative theoretical perspectives are feminist perspective, racialized discourses, critical theory, queer theory, and disability inquiry. For Olison in 2000, feminist perspective views as a problematic women's diverse situations and the institutions that frame those situations. Feminist research understands the nature of inequality and examines women's social role. Another qualitative theoretical perspective is racialized discourses. It raises important questions about control and production of knowledge, particularly about people and communities of color. That's according to Ladson and Billings in 2000. On the other hand, critical theory as qualitative theoretical perspective is concerned with empowering human beings to transcend the constraint placed on them by race, class, and gender. Another theoretical perspective is queer theory. It focuses on individuals calling themselves lesbians, gays, bisexuals, or transgendered people. The research using this approach does not objectify individuals, is concerned with cultural and political means, and convey the voices and experiences of individuals who have been suppressed. The goal of queer theory is to fight against social inequalities, which historical root is traced from the homosexual rights movement through the gay liberation movement. Finally, disability inquiry addresses the meaning of inclusion in schools and encompasses administrators, teachers, and parents who have children with disabilities. The task of disability theory is to analyze disability as a cultural, historical, relative, social, and political phenomenon. Unlike quantitative research, which use deductive method or approach, that is, introducing the theory early in a plan or study, and use this theory to test hypotheses, a qualitative research used inductive approach. That is, the theory or some other broad explanation becomes the end point. So, the inductive logic of research in a qualitative study begins by gathering detailed information from participants by asking open-ended questions. These informations gathered are then analyzed to form themes or categories. These themes are then developed into broad pattern, theories, or generalizations that are then compared with personal experiences or with existing literature on the topic. The development of themes and categories into patterns, theories, or generalizations suggests varied endpoint for qualitative studies. In case study research, Stake in 1995 refers to an assertion as a propositional generalization. In grounded theory, inquirers hope to discover theory that is grounded in information from participants. Lincoln and Goba in 1985 referred to pattern theories as explanation that develop during naturalistic or qualitative research. These pattern theories are systems of ideas that inform. In short, qualitative inquirers use different terms for theories such as patterns, theoretical lens, or naturalistic generalizations to describe the broader explanation used or developed in their studies. Fourth, some qualitative studies do not employ any explicit theory. Example, in phenomenology, inquirer attempts to build the essence of experience from participants. The inquirer constructs a rich, detailed description of a central phenomenon. This means that the study does not begin with theory, but through in-depth and detailed study through gathered information, theory emerges from data. Finally, Criswell provides us tips on theory used in qualitative proposal. First, decide if theory is to be used in the qualitative proposal. If it is used, then identify how the theory will be used in the study, such as an upfront explanation, as an endpoint, or as an advocacy lens. Third, locate the theory in the proposal in a manner consistent with its use. How do we locate theory in qualitative research? How theory is used affects its placement in a qualitative study. Further, studies with cultural themes or theoretical lens, the theory appears in the beginning of the study. Consider this example, a theory early in a qualitative study. Morghelia, Padilla, and Pavel in 1991 studied the integration of 24 Hispanic and Native American students into the social system of a college campus. They were curious about how ethnicity influenced a social integration, and they began relating the participants' experiences to a theoretical model, the Tentom model of social integration. They felt that the model had been incompletely conceptualized and, as a consequence, only imprecisely understood and measured. Thus, the model was not being tested as one would find in a quantitative project, but modified. At the end of the study, the authors refined Tentom's model and advanced their modification that describe how ethnicity functions. In contrast to this approach, qualitative studies with an endpoint of a theory, example the grounded theory, a pattern, or a generalization, the theory emerges at the end of the study. This theory might be presented as a logic diagram, a visual representation of relationships among concepts. Here is the second example, a theory at the end of a qualitative study. In this example, Criswell and Brown in 1992 developed a grounded theory. The theory placed in the last section. They presented a visual model of the theory developed inductively from categories of information supplied by interviewees on which the proposition in it contrasted with existing theories and literature. This is how they stated their theory. This proposition and its sub-propositions represent unusual, even contrary evidence to our expectations. Contrary to Proposition 2.1, we expected that the career stages would be similar not in type of issue but in the range of issues. Instead, we found that the issues for post-tenure faculty covered almost all the possible problems on the list. Why were the tenured faculty's needs more extensive than non-tenured faculty? The research productivity literature suggests that once research performance does not decline with the award of tenure, perhaps diffuse career goals of post-tenure faculty expand the possibilities for types of issues. In any case, this sub-proposition focuses attention on the understudied career group that Furness reminds us needs to be examined in more detail. These are all for my topic. Thank you, and to God be all the glory.